Time accelerates in your 20s. You secure a paycheck, settle into a routine, and watch the years blur together. Most people spend this decade building on lifestyle, upgrading apartments and cars as their income grows. The math favors a different approach, spending those 10 years building a personal balance sheet. The internet pushes exhausting promises of overnight wealth, but the reality of building a stable foundation is much quieter. This diagram shows 7 core assets. Currently, the dial is set to a lifestyle focus, but acquiring these items shifts the dial toward a balance sheet focus. With this foundation, you can absorb a job loss or a medical bill without derailing your financial future. We can rank each of these based strictly on the effort required to build them versus the autonomy they generate. The objective is clear: buy your future self options instead of regrets. We start with the defensive moat, the assets that establish your financial floor. This quadrant chart measures the input required against the outcome achieved. The horizontal axis tracks effort, and the vertical axis tracks impact. The emergency fund and good credit land squarely in the bottom right zone: low effort, high impact. To build an emergency fund, you park 3 to 6 months of liquid cash in a standard high-yield savings account. Good credit requires even less heavy lifting. You strictly automate the payment of your basic bills, so they clear on time every single month. The outcome is a total buffer against sudden expenses and securing bottom-tier interest rates for future mortgages or auto loans. The trade-off is discipline. Tying up liquid cash means living below your means and sacrificing immediate lifestyle upgrades. No one sees your savings account or credit score, but they provide the structural floor that prevents a single setback from sending you back to zero. Next are the compounding engines, the assets that secure the future. Looking back at the chart, new nodes for retirement accounts and health plot directly into the middle zone, representing moderate effort and high impact. The requirement for retirement is automating modest, consistent monthly contributions into low-cost index funds, starting around age 25. This creates exponential time leverage. Giving your money 5 extra years of compounding does far more heavy lifting than increasing the size of your monthly contributions later in life. Health functions by the exact same logic. The input is maintaining daily, unglamorous protocols for sleep, diet, and stress management. You need relentless, continuous physical endurance, built over time, to actually be able to utilize all of your future wealth. Building these engines requires prioritizing long-term physiological and financial stability over weekend social excesses. Treating your physical health with the exact same compounding logic as a retirement portfolio is the only reliable way to guarantee you survive to enjoy the autonomy you've bought. The final category contains the earning catalysts, which are the specialized tools used to aggressively multiply your total income potential. On our chart, high-income skills, a professional network, and business ownership hit the extreme top right quadrant. Mastering a market-demanded skill like data analysis or copywriting requires dedicating hundreds of uncompensated hours to focused practice. Building a network means consistently showing up, adding value, and maintaining relationships well before you actually need to ask for a favor. Business ownership requires accepting the risk of failure on early side projects, learning how value is priced and sold completely outside the structure of a traditional job. These assets decouple your earnings for entry-level wages and result in career opportunities that are often discussed privately before they ever reach a public job board. The cost is steep. You sacrifice free time, navigate severe discomfort, and risk early burnout. They demand the heaviest sacrifice of comfort, but they are the only items on the balance sheet that proactively generate new wealth. Attempting to build all 7 of these assets simultaneously before your 30th birthday leads to fractured focus and total burnout. This decision tree maps a sequenced strategy based on your bandwidth, splitting into 3 distinct paths: beginner, traditional employee, and optimizer. If you are an overwhelmed beginner, ignore side hustles entirely. The path routes straight to the emergency fund and good credit. Beginners start exclusively with the defensive moat, trading tight budgeting today for the psychological safety required to take risks later. For the time-poor traditional employee working 40-plus hours a week, the path moves to internal high-income skills and automated retirement. You sacrifice the immediate dream of being your own boss, building valuable skills within your job while automating investments. Finally, the hustle-focused optimizer aiming for maximum upside routes directly to business ownership. But notice the strict locking brackets around health and the emergency fund. Optimizers must strictly govern their physical health and cash reserves as non-negotiable baselines. Without them, aggressive risk-taking becomes a house of cards. Age 30 is an arbitrary milestone to measure your compounding momentum, not a hard deadline. Properly sequencing these 7 assets moves you out of a life dictated by financial necessity and into a life governed by choice.